Most Americans are aware of how government has been encroaching in recent years, especially since September 11th and the PRISM program, the National Security Agency. Edward Snowden brought to light quite a bit of information along those lines. So most people are aware that the government is taping their phone conversations, they're collecting data off their phone records and off their emails, and they're storing them in fusion centers around the United States. Most people know that. But the big deal about Edward Snowden, in my view, is that people were surprised at the revelations he brought forward in the first place. Common sense will tell you when you have a federal government with a dozen or more agencies all aimed at collecting information and intelligence, that they're going to scoop up some of America's information in that process. So Edward Snowden and NSA aside, what my book points out is the slew of other ways that the government has been encroaching on Americans' rights. You can't go in your backyard and build a shed anymore without getting a local government to give you a permit. Oftentimes those permits are based on whether your shed, the new construction plan you have, meets what the government thinks should be built in that area, if it meets historic ideals, if it falls in line with how they envision their community being built. When you go into a store nowadays, you don't just walk into a store and pay for something with cash. Your credit card information is scooped up and sent away to warehouse information that the private businesses then use to target ads and marketing toward you, which in itself isn't a big deal, but what is a bigger deal is what they do with that information and whether they tell you they're collecting that information. Also, when you go into stores nowadays, that mannequin standing in the corner may not just be a simple dummy. That mannequin may be equipped with eyes that watch you as you shop, that record your conversations. Also, the marketing people for that company can collect that information and determine what sells best in their stores. There's homeowners associations nowadays. You don't own your property anymore, it seems like. Founding fathers, they were pretty strong on private property rights. When you bought a home, that was your home and the government could not enter without your permission. Nowadays, the government skirts around that in a slew of different regulations where you can't use your property as you wish without getting the government's permission first. Homeowners associations are a private entity, they're a private corporation, but where the government doesn't regulate, homeowners associations do. There's just so much going on right now, and if you have kids in the schools, you need to be concerned about zero tolerance policies. Your child bringing a plastic knife to cut off the crust of his sandwich will suddenly be thrown from schools, suspended for 3 days because of zero tolerance policies that come right from the government.